Welcome to Coffee and RPGs. My name is Solomon SK, and thank you for tuning in for another episode of MMO and RPG News Roundup. Really quick, you guys know that I like having a variety when it comes to covering the news, but today's a little different. I am pressed for time, so I will only be reading off of three sources today: PCGamer.com, MassivelyOP.com, and MMORPG.com. This won't happen often, or maybe you guys will like this new way of doing things. I don't know, but like I said before, I like having variety. So with that being said, I do apologize, but hope you guys got your beverage of choice, and let's cover the news together. Cheers to you guys. So the first bits of news that I found interesting will come from MMORPG.com, and it says update project Athia or Athia, I'm not exactly sure how to pronounce it yet, announced from Square Enix, coming to PS5 and PC. And the update is saying that they're also creating this game for the PC as well, not just the PS5. But if you didn't know already, Sony did a big PS5 reveal a few days ago this week, and I believe this is one of the games that was showcased during that event. I'm getting a lot of Zero Dawn vibes with this one, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It was a pretty awesome game from what I can remember. So I got the trailer playing above me like always, and it looks like a really cool game. I'm not exactly sure if this is going to be an RPG, but considering it is Square Enix we're talking about, I wouldn't be surprised if that wasn't the case. Next, Lost Ark gets closed the beta registration date for Japan, and I'm only covering this because I'm very hopeful that this game will finally come to the Western shores. They already expanded into Russia, now they're going into Japan, and I'm hoping we're next. But yeah, it says that the new information on a guild territory system was released as well. Like some other MMOs which contain a similar system, the guild territory system for Lost Ark will allow guilds to essentially build structures in various locations, and the system will also bring with it several other social elements as well. So as always, I will have the links down in the pinned comment section below if you want to look more into this. And in other big news, especially when it comes to the RPG world, Godfall shows off PC gameplay of upcoming looter slasher. And admittedly, this is probably something you guys have been thinking too. When I read that, I thought, okay, maybe it's going to be Destiny 2, but with swords instead of guns. But in any case, it does go on to say that upcoming game puts you in the role of one of the last Valorian knights, which is a expert of melee combat. The 2-minute long trailer is narrated by game director Kenneth Lee. Lee introduces players to the world of Godfall named Aperion. I believe that's how you say it. You can also check out the gameplay in the trailer below, but I got it playing above me in case you are wondering. And it's coming out in holiday of 2022 PC and PlayStation 5, though no price or exact date has been given yet. And in terms of the RPGs that I do want to play, this is kind of on top of that list a bit, just because I never really got into looter shooters or looter slashers in this case. There's other games out there such as the Division franchise, obviously the Destiny franchise, and you have Anthem, which I really wanted to play but ended up not buying a copy for obvious reasons, maybe more or less. And so I'm hoping this one could definitely fill in that void, if you will. And really quick, I just wanted to cover Everspace 2, which is going into closed alpha beginning on June 15th. I actually did get to play a bit of this game during TwitchCon 2019 last year, and it was a lot of fun. It's a beautiful looking game, and it does actually have RPG elements to it, and hence why I've included this particular game in this, or today's episode rather. But again, it's set to debut on Steam. Additionally, the game is set for early access sometime later this year on PC. Next, Remnant from the Ashes DLC Subject 2923 arrives August 20th, complete edition also announced. And this DLC is headed to the PC, Xbox One, and PS4 on August 20th. Additionally, the Remnant from the Ashes Complete Edition was announced. This set is to include the base game, the first DLC called Swamps of Chorus, and the upcoming Subject 2923 DLC on August 24 PC and console as well. And if you're curious, Subject 2023 will boast a new campaign. I'm thinking that's a typo. I'm thinking they meant 2923 will boast a new campaign mode where you'll discover the origins of Dreamer program and its connection to the root. Next, we have Phantasy Star Online 2 that will receive episode 4 in August. and this is set to be the biggest content update for the PC and Xbox One versions. It goes on to read that as to what will occur, episode 4, it looks like we will be waking from a long sleep to find that there has been an internal invasion of fake ARCs members, excuse me. A mysterious enemy called the Phantom appears, and a new planet has been discovered in another dimension called Earth. Go figure. But a new level cap will be unlocked, as well as Tokyo and Las Vegas. And this is something that I've been covering a lot, not too intently because they're all rumors, but it looks like all the rumors are beginning to be true. Star Wars Squadron leaks is real, full reveal next week. We actually don't have too much information. There are leaks, but there's been DMCA takedowns, understandably so, but we'll have to wait until June 15th to figure out what this game really is about. And really quick, here are the ranked Season 12 PvP rewards in Star Wars The Old Republic. But I'm not going to cover really anything about it, considering ranked PvP is still cancer if you're curious. I still dabble in this game every so often, and I never play ranked PvP just because it will give you cancer. And lastly, from MMORPG.com, Demon Souls is back, coming to the PlayStation 5, and this is an actual remake, and the original Demon Souls was released to the PlayStation 3 in 2009, so a full decade. Next, we will cover the news coming from MassivelyOP.com that I found super interesting. Amazon's New World sales for closed beta in July before its August launch. It is scheduled to be released globally on August 25th, but New World will run a closed beta test starting on July 23rd. Players who pre-order the title are slated to join the beta and get a few goodies as well, including a fist bump emote, and in quotations it says yo, an amulet, a title, and guild crest set. Next, Star Citizen rather, excuse me, kicks off Alien Week with lore contests and ship sales as it passes 300 million in crowdfunding. This game still is getting money. And it's just like, it's kind of concerning. Like, I'm really glad that they are, but this whole feature creep is just, it's just like when will it ever come out? I am a backer, by the way, if you haven't noticed. But it does go on to read that the meat and potatoes of Alien Week is all about lore, with the promise of fun facts about the Banu, Tivarian, Xi'an, and Vandul. I believe I'm pronouncing those right. I do apologize if I'm not. I'm probably not. And again, yeah, it surpassed 30 million mark for crowdfunding. Whee! That's what he says at the end here. Whee! That's not me. But anyways. Next, Neverwinter's hellacious Avernus module is launching on June 30th. Perfect World Entertainment announced today, or not today, but rather on June 11th, that it will roll out the new update on June 30th, at least for PC players, as always, and console players will have to wait a little longer, unfortunately. But the gist of it, in my opinion, from their direct quote, the update will bring epic story content that concludes the previous update's story based on the Dungeons & Dragons tabletop adventure Baldur's Gate descent into Avernus. I don't know if my mic is picking up the weed whacker noises from behind me, so I do apologize if that's the case. But the show must go on. Anyways, Mankind Reborn shows off new updates, keeps its test server online 24/7, eyes alpha in a couple of months. And it goes on to read that the majority of the update is extremely technical, with looks at back-end improvements, optimizations, and bug fixes at the coder's level. Some of the bigger forward moves, however, are in the game's planned next steps. The playtest server has stabilized to the point that it can stay up online 24/7 and will continue to get weekly updates like bug fixes, new features, and new worlds all the way up to alpha, which is currently set to release in, quote, couple of months. And here's the most interesting part, in my opinion. After alpha, Mankind's Reborn's lone developer, just one person, will start looking into additional funding like crowdfunding or investor funding in order to get help. And this is, in my opinion, something that's probably a labor of love. Again, one person developing the entirety of this game, and it's pretty impressive. I'm actually going to check it out just because of that fact alone. And really quick, ArcheAge's controversial Garden of the Gods expansion is live today, and as in back in June 11th. I am a bit late, so I do apologize. But if you didn't know, the game caught a lot of flack for now charging its players for future expansion packs, and it's still a lot of bitter comments down in the section below, so I'm gonna avoid that for the time being. Next, TERA's next major patch on PC brings a new dungeon and new partner adventures. It goes on to read that the PC version arrives in less than a week on June 16th. One of the additions for this patch is a new partner adventure system, which allows you to send up to 3 partners at a time out to various locations to earn treasures and items. They'll come back in several hours. And when I read that, it actually reminded me of the companion system they actually have in Star Wars The Old Republic, where you could send your companions out to do various missions to gather mats, different rewards, and stuff like that as well. Lastly, a new dungeon called the Dracon Arena is also being introduced, and it's designed for level 70 characters and will also offer up new accessories as well. And lastly, from MassivelyOP.com, Population 0 adds armor repair kits, lowers building restrictions, and shares a open dev roadmap. And they really need to start rolling out new content and fixing things, because the population for Population 0. Anyways, the concurrent number of players playing this game is like double digits at this point, and it just came out for early access, I believe, like 2 weeks ago, so it's not doing incredibly well, so I really hope that they can pick things up. But it does go on to read that this patch adds some needed quality of life functions like armor and suit repair kits, a streamlining to the friends feature, and a significant easing of restrictions to building locations, letting players rebuild stuff across the map, except for key areas that contain quests, resource like the main hub. And lastly, we'll cover the articles that I found super interesting from PCGamer.com. First of these articles, the Forgotten City teaser gives us another tantalizing glimpse of ancient Rome. It goes on to read that the Forgotten City was originated as a Skyrim mod where you can investigate a time travel murder mystery. But it wasn't just any old mod. The mod won an Australian Writers Guild Award for interactive media on its way to become one of the most popular and recognized Skyrim mods ever. And that's really cool, because generally modders do these things out of their own time, out of their own expense. Definitely a labor of love. But it goes on to read that fitting then, in 2018, developer Modern Storyteller announced that the Forgotten City was becoming a standalone game set in Rome instead of Skyrim, and becoming a completely rebuilt game with the Unreal Engine. Next, open world RPG for lovers Haven is still looking great. And admittedly, I'm not exactly a fan of the sort of toon shading graphics, with the exception of a few games like Brew Protocol, for example. But in this case, it actually does really look amazing. And it goes on to read that Haven is about a couple that runs away to a distant planet and embarks on the mutual quest to make it a habitable zone together. Relationship goals for sure. I'm not exactly sure if this is my cup of tea, but I think it's definitely worth checking out just because it's so vastly different from the types of RPGs that we're used to. Next, Alaloth, I think that's how you say it, is an action RPG inspired by PC classics. And the game's full title is Alaloth, Champions of the Four Kingdoms. Again, that sounds so funny to me for some reason. And it takes place in a world whose lore was developed by RPG veteran Chris Avellone. And if you don't know that name, you should. This guy worked on countless RPGs, such as Knights of the Old Republic 2, even the first one too, I believe, but especially the Fallout series. He's also worked on Baldur's Gate, Divinity 2, Original Sin, and just countless other RPGs out there. And yeah, that alone is a reason why to check out this game for sure. Next, Cris Tales, a gorgeous homage to classic JRPGs, arrives November 17th. Cris Tales is a much anticipated love letter to classic Japanese RPGs like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI, but with a twist. You can manipulate time both in and out of combat. Cris Tales is coming to Steam on November 17th. The actual game is a side-scrolling RPG similar to Paper Mario, but with the time manipulation system. And lastly, Weird West is a dark RPG made up of 5 interconnected stories. So this game is actually headed by Rafael Colantanio. I do apologize for butchering that. But if you don't know his name, he was the guy in charge of Dishonored, which was a really awesome game from what I can remember. And it does go on to read that the Weird West is an RPG set in a strange version of the Old West with a bit of flavor from Deadlands and Stephen King's Dark Tower. Even with the top-down perspective, the way you engage with the world sounds straight from Deus Ex playbook, with systems like stealth and sound and multiple ways to tackle quests. Jeez, I can't. So I tried pronouncing this probably 10 times. This is my 10th take trying to say this. Where Weird West, goodness, is really doing something different is with its characters. Unlike a traditional RPG where you play one main quest of one character, it's going to be a relay of main quests. Again, try saying that 10 times. Weird West, okay. Anyways, and that concludes today's episode of MMO and RPG News Roundup. I do appreciate if you made it with me so far. The watch time does help with the algorithms, but if you haven't done so, please consider liking, subscribing, and hitting the bell notification too, as those also helps the channel a lot. I do apologize again for making this with only 3 sources, but again, this is not something that I plan on continue doing unless this is something that you guys like better. But in any event, hope you guys have a blessed night, and I will see you guys next time. Cheers again, everyone.